In the Caribbean, on the island of St Vincent, lies a volcano called La Soufriere. It dominates the northern heights of a verdant range 18 miles in length. In 2021, La Soufriere exploded, sending plumes of ash 6 miles high. Pyroclastic flows raced into valleys. Boulders crashed through roofs. Ash blanketed the islands. And this occurred during the height of the COVID pandemic. "20,000 people were evacuated to safe zones in the south. Heavy rains brought lahars of ashen mud, ruining crops and contaminating fresh water. Several thousand evacuees were families with children. They found refuge in church shelters, schools, and private homes. The international community responded. Nations sent aid. When the time approached for children to return to school, a team from Puerto Rico distributed supplies. The original inhabitants of St Vincent and the Grenadines were Amerindian Caribs. During the Atlantic slave trade, the islands became the refuge of escaped Africans. The mixture of races of indigenous and African came to be known as the Black Caribs. The Black Caribs fought off the Spanish conquistadors. The French were the first Europeans to occupy the islands, which led to wars. They ceded the islands to the British, which led to more wars. The islands passed through stages of colonialism. When La Soufriere exploded in 1812, it killed over 1,000 people. When La Soufriere exploded in 1902, it killed over 1,000 people. When La Soufriere exploded in 1979, the British apparently had had enough. They granted the island independence and sailed away. The Vincentians could not sail away. They were left to master the island. In 2000, Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves came to power in the Roadblock Revolution. Inspired by Afrocentrism, anti-colonialism, and the Cuban Revolution, Gonzalez created a system of centralized economic planning and regulation. A veritable security state, but one with extraordinary private freedoms. When La Soufriere exploded in 2021, the evacuation was comprehensive, with no loss of life. But the Gonzalez government faced a second threat, the COVID pandemic. For the island, the 1-2 punch was especially challenging.
I'm scared of the COVID pandemic because for example, with the volcano, we would have been able to find safe places. We could have leave the red zone and get into the yellow, the orange zone to be safe. Even with a hurricane approaching, we have hurricane shelters that you could go. But with COVID, you don't know when, you don't know how, you don't know where.
Indeed, there have been many fissures in the established order. In a nation of the self-reliant, survival has many faces. On a slope in the parish of Charlotte, Elizabeth counts her blessings. She says La Soufriere contributes nutrients to the soil. She tills the land her daughter bought, grows groundnuts, ginger, edos, and dashin, provides for the family, sells in the farmer's market, and has enough for export to Trinidad. On a marijuana plantation near Sandy Bay, growers Azinga, Corey, and Darrell walk amongst the new growth. La Soufriere had smothered their earlier crop, even poisoning buds drying in the shed. Today, they proudly show their crop. In St Vincent, marijuana, once illegal, is now grown for export. Wooden pangas inscribe white arcs as fishermen motor out to sea. On the beach, men fillet colorful catch, snapper, dolphin, lemon shark, island staples. But the black Caribs of Barawali hunt the blackfish. The blackfish are pilot whales and orcas. Like New England whalers of old, from whom they learned, the islanders use harpoons. Only now they use shotgun-propelled harpoons, mounted on the bows of high-powered pangas. In St Vincent, whaling is legal. The black Caribs are recognized as Aboriginal subsistence whalers. even if the custom is not truly native. During the evacuation, one elderly man refused to leave his home. He sent his wife to safety, but stayed through those dark hours.
We need more support from the government because some people are getting and some don't get. And it is very unfair because the people who are affected the most doesn't get anything much. I would like to see things get better along the line.
His obstinacy held more than his words could express, but was once expressed by poet William Ernest Henley thus: "Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul." For now, the crisis in St Vincent and the Grenadines has been managed. Not everyone is happy with the stringent government controls. The alert status reminds residents that the volcano could explode with less than 24-hour notice. But even before the disasters, some complained the current government discouraged international investment. St Vincent had been labeled by the foreign press as a center for money laundering. The current government has worked hard to change that perception. While other Caribbean nations offer tax avoidance, the Financial Intelligence Unit is likely to scrutinize expatriates for the origins of their wealth, subject to confiscation. Despite this, St. Vincent and the Grenadines continues to appeal to wealthy romantics. In anchorages where rains mist, rainbows dip into the sea. Jutting rocks and palm-lined bays evoke the paradisiacal landscapes of Paul Gauguin. Every century, La Soufriere awakens. The fiery rock and the people who live on her form an uneasy alliance. As pressures build beneath the surface, the community flourishes. Children play, visitors dream. For Vincentians, it's only a matter of time.